San Francisco, Wednesday night, rooftop bar on Market Street. She wore a black silk dress that caught the firelight like it was alive. Hair in soft waves, red wine in one hand, charm in the other. "So what do you do, Adam?" Her voice was low, curious, like she already knew the answer and was just waiting to confirm it. I gave her a soft smile. "I'm building something small, nothing special yet." She tilted her head, amused. "You don't look like nothing special." We talked for 2 hours. She laughed at all the right things, touched my wrist when I made her laugh, asked me about my parents, my past, my fears, then leaned in, closer than strangers should. "You seem real," she whispered. "Not like the others here." She had no idea. I wasn't like the others, because I wasn't even who I said I was. My real name isn't Adam Reed. I don't live in the loft I described. I didn't go to Stanford, and the VC firm I mentioned, it doesn't exist. Everything I gave her that night was designed, tested, scripted, because Lara Whitmore wasn't just beautiful, she was dangerous. I'd been watching her for months. She had a pattern: wealthy targets, sudden romance, legal entanglements that always ended with her richer, and the men ruined. She was smart, surgical in how she chose her victims. But this time, she didn't find me. I found her. We left the bar sometime after midnight. She pressed herself against me in the elevator. Not by accident. "You're not like the others," she said again. She ran a finger down the side of my neck. My heart didn't race, but I let her think it did. She kissed me like someone who knew exactly how much damage a mouth could do. And I kissed her back like I hadn't already seen what she did to the last man. In the morning, she was still there, curled in my sheets, her back to me. I stared at the curve of her spine, the delicate tattoo at her hip bone, a black rose. Fitting. I got up, pulled on a shirt, and walked into the kitchen, opened my laptop, logged into the surveillance archive. Her phone was already syncing to my network. Every text, email, and GPS ping was mine. Now, she thought she was seducing a ghost. She had no idea the ghost was already inside her system. She told me she loved the real me. But there was no real me, only the man I built to burn her world down, one touch at a time. Lara stayed the whole weekend. She cooked barefoot in my apartment, using spices I didn't know I had. She played jazz from her phone and danced in my shirt while eggs sizzled. She kissed me slowly every morning, like she was laying claim. "You trust me, don't you?" she asked once, after a night tangled in sweat and heat. Her eyes searched mine. I kissed her, said yes, but I was already cataloging every keystroke she typed on my Wi-Fi. By Wednesday, she said she wanted to help me. "You need better legal structure for your startup," she said. "I know someone, a killer lawyer, my closest friend in LA. I kept my face blank. "What's his name?" "Mark," she said casually. "Mark Dalton. But you'll love him. He's family." That word again. Family. She smiled when she said it, like it was harmless. I ran his name the second she left. Mark Dalton. Disbarred in Nevada. Under investigation in California. Changed his name 3 years ago. I traced the paper trail. Marriage license. Dissolved, then secretly renewed under an alias. Mark Dalton was Lara's husband, still legally married, still operating together. A two-person con. One seduces, one legalizes the theft. They'd done this before. 3 nights later, I met Mark for dinner. He showed up at a private steakhouse, expensive watch, fake humility. "Adam," he smiled, shaking my hand. "Heard great things. Hope I can live up to the hype. I smiled back. He slid a packet across the table. NDA, early ownership docs, and a limited power of attorney for simplicity. I skimmed it, didn't even blink. I trust Lara, I said. If she trusts you, I'm good. He smiled. I signed, not with my real signature, not under a real name. Later that night, Lara crawled into my lap like nothing in the world mattered. She whispered in my ear, "You don't know what you're doing to me." She kissed down my neck, breath warm, words sharper than any lie. I smiled as I leaned into her. "Oh, Lara, I know exactly what I'm doing to you." She thought she was placing me under legal control, but what she didn't realize was she'd just introduced me to her partner in crime, and now I had them both in the same room. Lara started calling me her future. I let her. She sent photos during the day, her in my shirt, in my bed, sipping coffee with her legs tangled in sheets she hadn't paid for. She was nesting, territory marking, shaping the narrative. She didn't know I'd built the story first. After our lawyer dinner, she asked for access to my financials to help optimize my startup structure. "Let me just glance over your holdings," she said. "Just the dummy accounts. You know, keep us safe." I agreed. She smiled like I'd handed her the key to the vault. I created new financial dashboards, fake routing numbers, investment portfolios that didn't actually exist, but looked real enough to seduce a banker. She downloaded everything, and every time she opened a file, she activated a tracer. I planted metadata that would sync with her cloud. I embedded dynamic tags that updated in real time. When she forwarded Adam's assets to Mark, I got the ping. I got the spreadsheet. I got the email string, the timestamp, the IP. She was feeding me evidence faster than I could process it. 2 days later, Mark sent over a revised equity protection agreement. It gave Lara control of 49% of my startup, plus backdoor access to intellectual property in case I became unfit to run it. It was beautifully written, subtle, clean, almost legal. I signed it, but this time I used an identity that didn't just not exist. It was flagged in federal fraud databases. When they filed it, it would be traceable to them. That night, Lara wore red. She cooked me dinner. Her eyes glowed like she'd already won. "You're so open with me," she whispered. "It's sexy. Most men hold back." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I watched her fingers trail the rim of her wine glass. She thought I was drugged, drunk, dumb. She thought she'd made me hers. She didn't realize I was already erasing her digital footprint, bit by bit. From the inside, every time she touched my life, she left fingerprints, and every fingerprint was a confession waiting to be unsealed. 2 weeks later, I got the message I'd been waiting for. "We've filed everything," Mark wrote. "Lara's officially co-owner now. Let's toast soon." Toast? He had no idea what he'd just done. The documents they filed were real, filed in Delaware, time-stamped, uploaded, but the entity they filed them against wasn't mine. It was a mirror corporation, one I created 6 months before ever meeting Lara. A ghost company. Same name, same address, same branding, different owner. Me, under a flagged alias. The moment they submitted those forms, they officially became complicit in identity fraud, fraudulent misrepresentation, and unauthorized digital access. All of it documented, all of it backed up. I made no move. No threats, no sign I knew. Lara, meanwhile, started making plans. "I want to merge our accounts," she said over wine. "No secrets between us." I smiled, nodded. That weekend, I let her take a photo of my passport. It was a high-end replica, printed in Berlin, encoded with a name that triggered alerts in 5 systems. She didn't notice. She was too busy imagining a joint offshore account. I started setting the stage. I forwarded an anonymous tip to the FTC, then the IRS, then one major private banking network. The tip, that Mark Dalton and his female accomplice were leveraging stolen assets under false pretenses. I attached documents, screenshots, a signed affidavit from myself using a burner identity, testifying to Adam Reed's assets being misused. They had no idea their downfall had already been submitted for review. They thought we were celebrating. That night, Lara pushed me down on the bed, fingers gripping my shirt, whispering, "You're mine now, you know that?" I smiled into her kiss. "You have no idea how true that is." They filed the paperwork to trap me, but the only thing they legalized was their own destruction. It started small. A new handbag, a suite booked at the Fairmont for a weekend to unwind. Then a $20,000 wire transfer to an investment account under her name. The account looked like it belonged to Adam Reed. It didn't. I built it. She thought she was taking from me. She didn't know I was feeding her from a poisoned stream. That investment account? It was flagged in 2 federal databases, registered to a synthetic identity, one that hadn't cleared KYC. Everything she touched was now tethered to a legally unstable digital ghost. Every move she made tightened the noose. I watched the withdrawals come through. She split them into smaller chunks, under 10K, to avoid detection. But I'd already marked the accounts with embedded compliance triggers. Each transaction logged her device, ID, location, and biometrics. Even the way she typed her passwords was recorded, because I'd keyed the login form with motion tracking code. She was dancing in a room full of hidden cameras, and she was smiling. One night she came home, barefoot, tipsy, and radiant. "You're incredible," she whispered, straddling my lap. "Everything I've ever wanted." She dragged her nails across my chest, lips grazing my ear. "You trust me now, right?" I nodded, kissed her neck. Let her unzip my jacket, the same one with the micro recorder stitched into the lining. "You're the only one I trust," I said, and I meant it, because I only trust what I can control. The next morning, I checked the logs. She'd accessed another account, this one tied to a family inheritance I told her about. She transferred $40,000 to a Cayman holding company, a company I registered under her name. And now, the digital paper trail showed her as the primary agent of the crime. I'd removed myself, line by line, until I was nothing but the victim on paper. She thought she was becoming richer, but all she was doing was becoming someone I designed, someone the system would one day arrest, not for stealing my identity, but for becoming it. Lara's text came at 9:13 a.m. "I'm going to the bank this afternoon. Want to start moving everything to a consolidated account. Feels real now. Us. She even added a heart. I typed back, "You've earned it." She had, just not the way she thought. She walked into the downtown branch in a white blazer, hair slicked back, smile polished. She gave them the name Adam Reed Holdings, produced the Cayman Company papers, and asked to initiate a $250,000 transfer. The banker smiled. "Of course, Ms. Whitmore. Just a moment while we verify everything." Lara nodded. She didn't see the man in the back room quietly dial a secure line. She didn't see her account freeze in real time. Didn't know that the ID she handed over, digitally linked to a flagged entity, had triggered Level 2 AML compliance. 10 minutes passed. She started to fidget. "Is there an issue?" she asked. The banker smiled too widely. "Just a routine check. Happens all the time." It didn't. Behind the scenes, the system flagged. Mismatched data across jurisdictions, multiple aliases, a suspicious link to a disbarred attorney under investigation, Mark Dalton. And just like that, the case wasn't routine anymore. It was federal. Lara left the bank, frustrated. Texted me. "That felt off. Can you check your end?" I texted back, "I'll take care of it. Don't worry." I didn't. Instead, I uploaded one more package, a clean bundle of documents showing Lara Whitmore as the registered primary operator of a series of flagged transactions, all tied to synthetic identity theft. No need for accusations. No need for confrontation. I let the system eat her alive. That night, Lara cooked us dinner like nothing happened. "God, banks are so slow," she said, sipping wine. "I'm thinking we should just move everything to crypto." I smiled. "You always know how to adapt." She kissed me, and I kissed her back, watching her mouth move like a loaded weapon she didn't know was already pointed at herself. She didn't know the transfer failed. She didn't know the account was frozen. She didn't know she'd been listed, not as a beneficiary, but as a suspect. The first article dropped on a Wednesday morning. It was small, buried in the business crime section. "Unregistered entity, tied to digital asset laundering, raises red flags with FinCEN." There was no photo, no names, yet. But by Friday, they'd connected more dots. A journalist reached out to Mark, asking for comment. He ignored it. So they went to Lara. She smiled in the interview, glossy as ever. "No idea what that's about. Probably a mistake." The piece aired that night on a local station. Her name, her image, and the headline, "Socialite linked to fraud, web across 3 states." I watched her watching it. We were in bed, the television on mute. She was scrolling Twitter, expression slowly freezing. "What the hell is this?" she whispered. "This isn't even true." But the hashtags were spreading. Lara, Whitmore, Jar, Crypto Queen, Jar, White Collar Rose. She dropped her phone. "They've got the wrong person," she said again. I didn't answer, just gently pulled her close, fingers brushing her back. "You're safe with me." She trembled a little, whether from fear or rage. Even she couldn't tell any more. The next day, her bank accounts froze. Not one. All of them. She tried calling Mark, straight to voicemail. She tried accessing the Cayman platform. Her credentials were rejected. Access suspended pending identity verification. But whose identity? She no longer knew which name was safe to use. She wasn't even sure which version of herself the system believed. She looked at me that night, like a woman starting to suspect she was dreaming the wrong dream. "You believe me, right?" she asked. "This is insane. This isn't my fault." I took her hand, held it. "I believe you," I said softly. I believed she had no idea how perfectly she'd played the part I wrote for her. She wanted to be seen. Now she was everywhere, but not as the woman she wanted the world to know, only as the one I needed the world to destroy. She booked a flight under her maiden name, Lara Whitmore, business class, one way to Zurich, the kind of ticket you buy when you plan not to return. I let her. I even left the house early that morning, told her I had meetings. She didn't know I was already 2 steps ahead, watching the itinerary sync to a network I built. By the time she arrived at SFO, I'd already flagged her reservation. Not publicly, not obviously. I just made a call to a compliance contact at CBP. Sent them a possible synthetic identity in transit. Attached, her passport copy, her bank activity, her flagged offshore transfers. They didn't need more. She got through check-in, even through TSA. But at the gate, just as boarding began, a uniformed man tapped her shoulder. "Miss Whitmore, may we speak with you for a moment?" Her voice rose. Her hands shook. "This is a mistake. I have a right to travel. You're not under arrest. Just a hold. You've been marked for verification." She called me, 6 missed calls, then a voicemail. "Adam, call me, please. Something's wrong. They won't let me leave. I think this is bigger than—" She never finished the sentence. Her voice cracked halfway through. She didn't make the flight. Instead, she spent the night in a security interview room, her devices cloned, her story logged. They didn't arrest her. They just let her go, with no passport, no access, no direction, a woman with no country, no money, no legal name that still worked. She came home the next day, eyes red, voice flat. "It's like I don't exist anymore," she said. "Like they're erasing me." She didn't know that I already had. That night, she cried in the shower. I stood outside the door, watching her silhouette behind the fogged glass. She curled into herself. Not the predator anymore, just a shape dissolving under warm water. And I felt nothing. She tried to run, but I'd already stolen her future. She didn't just lose her freedom. She lost the right to even be herself. She moved through the house like a ghost. She stopped brushing her hair, stopped checking her phone, stopped asking questions. Even predators know when they're trapped. But Lara wasn't just caught. She was unmade. She tried to make sense of it. She built new email addresses, tried different banks. She even tried to reclaim her social security number. "System says I don't match anything," she muttered one night. "Like, I don't belong anywhere." I made her tea. She sipped it with shaking hands, tried to smile, but her lips couldn't remember how. One night, I left. No note, no word, just vanished. I booked a hotel 3 miles away, turned off my phone, turned on my private feed. I watched her through my cameras. She looked for me for hours, frantic, pacing, screaming. Then, silence. Around 2:43 a.m., she called. I let it ring. Then again, and again, until she left a voicemail. I know you're listening. Please, I'm sorry. Whatever I did, whatever you think I did, just tell me how to fix it. Long pause. I don't even know who I am anymore. Another pause. I loved you. Or, I think I did. I don't know. I don't know what's real anymore. Her voice broke. Please, just tell me who I am. I didn't answer, because she already was who I made her, and she'd never be anyone else again. She wanted to be someone powerful. Now she's someone lost. She begged me to remind her who she is, but I erased that version the moment she tried to steal mine. 2 weeks passed. She stopped calling, stopped crying. Somewhere in that silence, she accepted it, that her name, her power, her reflection no longer belonged to her, that she had become the ghost she tried to make me. I returned to the house once, briefly. She was sitting on the floor of the hallway, back against the wall, barefoot, staring at a framed photo of us from months ago. I stepped inside quietly. She looked up, hollow-eyed, fragile. Adam, she asked, or is that even your name? I didn't answer. She stood slowly, walked to me, and whispered, if I ever meant anything to you, just tell me who I was. I stared at her for a long time, and then I said, the only truth I had left. You were everything you wanted to be, until you became it. Then I left. I never heard from her again, but I did read about her. She tried to restart her life, under a new name. It didn't work. Too many flags, too many inconsistencies, too many systems still rejecting her existence. Eventually, she disappeared from headlines, vanished completely, which is exactly what I planned. I rebuilt under my real name, quietly. I moved cities, changed industries, lived alone. Sometimes I hear her voice in old voicemails. I loved you. Please, tell me who I am. And I do answer, but only in my mind. You are exactly what you made me to be, except I made you better. Better at disappearing. Better at erasing. Final line, I didn't ruin her life. I just gave her the one she would have given me, and then I made sure she couldn't give it to anyone else.